Okay, so yeah, so for those that don't know me, I just wanted to introduce myself, say hello. I'm Zainab. I'm excited about tonight's call because what we're going to learn about this curriculum that I'm actually going through is phenomenal. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. And also, I'm living in Costa Rica, homeschooling a toddler. I did not know that you could actually have a homeschool curriculum for a 2-year-old, but we learn something new every day. So, hi, everybody, welcome. And I'm excited. If everyone, I would love to also, if it's okay with Aunt Juba, with Miss Juliet, I would love to see, where everybody is from, where you checking in from. If you want to put in the chat or unmute yourself, whatever you prefer. But before we get started, I always like to see who's here. Washington, Colorado, cool. Washington, Richmond, Barbados. Wow. Okay. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody. All right, so I'm happy to meet everybody. And Miami, Dallas, that's so wonderful. All right, that's so cool. Brooklyn, 17-month-old. Okay, Keisha, home mama of a 17-month-old. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. It's been a rough couple of days with this 24-month-old and this 2-month-old, but I digress. Okay, so nice to meet everybody. I'll be quiet now so we can all learn and see what Auntie Juba has for us. So let me see. All right. All right. You are on mute.
See, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? If you
Yes.
guys could hear me, could you put a 2 in the chat so that I know everybody's audio is good? Wonderful, wonderful. So I wanted to just come on really quick. I wanted to say thank you for taking this time to come and hang out with us today. I would start by introducing myself. So my name is Juliet Barnes, and everybody knows me by Aunt Juba or Miss Juba as far as the classroom is concerned. I've been here in United States for, gosh, over 35 years. And I am originally from Uganda. I was born in Uganda, and I came out here when I was 11. And upon coming to United States, of course, with the cultural changes and differences, it was quite an experience. But my passion for working with children actually started back home. And the way we are raised in Uganda, and I'm sure for many African countries, is you are raised to pretty much start to take care of your home. And the way that is the adults around you are constantly talking to you, showing you how to cook, clean, take care of animals, or is taking care of something. But through all that experience, by the time I came here at 11, I was pretty much set as far as taking care of a home. So upon coming here, my father was married with his second wife, which they had 2 children, which are my 2 brothers that I grew up with. And one is 9 years younger than me, and one is 7 years younger than me. So they were babies when I came here. And I noticed that I had to take care of them a lot. So I had a lot of practice with family, brothers, cousins, and that gave me the experience that I needed as far as children are concerned. And I was pretty efficient in doing so. So that led me into going to get my first job as a teenager as a nanny. And I loved nannying in different houses so much that I figured, you know what, I want to go back to school and finish up. And that led into me getting my associate in child development and bachelor's in family and child studies. And then I got my master's in teaching. So it's just everything that I have been doing just kind of catapulted into child development, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, and I wanted to share with you guys this evening. So I have a little icebreaker that I wanted to do with you, a little fun game. So basically, I wanted to see, well, we could all see each other's names here. So I wanted to have you guys type in your favorite color and what did you want to be when you grew up? So this is you being a child, answering as if you're a child. Now we are saying like anywhere between I would say 3 to 10 years old. What did you want to be when you grew up? So if you could type that in the chat. And then we'll come back around to that. In the meantime, I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Let's see. Zainab, could I share my screen? Can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see.
At the bottom of the screen, there should be like a little bar.
Okay, let me see if I could do that. Hold on 1 second. I gotta minimize it. Just bear with me. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So can everybody see that? My screen is okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So let me move this one over. So yeah, so now that everybody has typed in their responses, we'll come back to that. So basically, I just wanted to welcome all of you guys to the Homeschool, the Juba way. And the reason why I say it's the Juba way, it's because it's kind of mixed with conventional and non-conventional. And the reason why it's this way, so this way you don't get so stuck on, I have to do it a certain way. So you always have to remember when it comes to homeschooling, your method, your choosing is going to be the perfect way. Why? Because it's your child, and you know how your child learns and the best way they can learn. So that's why I want you to think it's going to be your way. So some of the topics here, we're going to go over a few topics. And what we're going to do is, because this is like an orientation, I would like to go through each particular slide, and then I would take 2 to 3 questions in between. So this way we could interact with each other. So what we're going to do is I wanted to talk to you guys about this first topic. And the first topic, understanding the homeschool. So the difference between homeschooling, I'm sure a lot of you already have a good idea, but the difference between homeschooling and public school is when you send your child to public school, you are allowing that institution, those teachers, that particular brick and mortar to pretty much mold your child. And when you choose homeschool, you are doing all of those things yourself. So you are molding your child. A lot of parents chose homeschool for many different reasons. I will share why I chose homeschooling. Some of the reasons were we wanted the flexibility with travel. So this way, if we wanted to travel out of the country, we don't have to call, write in and say, could we get permission to go somewhere? We just kind of got our computers and took off. We wanted the flexibility of not waiting in the classroom setting if we were going to brick and mortar, where the children could learn at their own pace. So all of these things were really important to us. The list goes on and on and on, but those particular things were some of the major things that we had chose so that we we could homeschool. And this is my husband, Ken. He so basically what we wanted to do was homeschool. And then a lot of the questions that I get, do you have to be a teacher? And as you say, my husband's background, it was in nursing at that point when we were homeschooling our children. So he was not he did not have a teaching background whatsoever. So choosing a homeschool over public school is completely, it's your preference and it's what you would like to have for your children. And with that, when we chose homeschool, we also decided early on that we actually wanted the children to go back to traditional school when they got a certain age. And that age was when they got in ninth grade, we wanted them to finish their high school curriculum in the public school setting because then we had searched for schools that offer the dual program. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, which the children could attend high school and go to college, start their associate degree. So that's what all four of our children did. By the time they actually graduated from high school, they all obtained their associate degree. So some of the things to think about as you are starting this journey. And then here, and some of the points is, do you still have to follow a routine or schedule? And I would say, for my preference, to have this transition or this whole experience go smoothly, a schedule and a routine is really, really encouraged, especially if you have more than one child in the house. And because we had four, of course, we had them five, 3, 2, and 1. We had to have a routine. We had to have a schedule. So we didn't want them to wake up and stay in their pajamas and not comb their hair or not brush their teeth and just go and get on a computer. So we did have them follow a certain routine. You have to get up at a certain time. You have to get your clothes out and get your hygiene taken care of and be at the table at a certain time. And that helped us help them know what to do and what to expect. So with this first slide, I want to know, does anybody have any question? We could pick like maybe 1 or 2 questions before we go into it any further. And if you could unmute yourself if you do have a question. But if you don't, then we can move forward. So with that, so our next slide takes us to, let me move this over a little bit.
I do have a question if I can ask.
Sure.
So when it comes to like routine, right? So when it comes to creating a routine, how do I find like a framework for a routine? Like, do I just go off of the child herself, or do I go off of like my schedule or what? Because our routine changes like daily. So I know you mentioned like not letting your children stay in pajamas all day long, but like today, for example, my daughter wanted to wear pajamas as her outfit for the day. So it was like, okay, like the routine isn't necessarily routine. And so how do we like have a foundation?
How do you navigate that?
Yeah.
So pretty much with the routine, when they are between 0 and 5, you do have to choose your battles. So it would eventually comes. The routine will follow as you keep practicing it. to go back to your first question, is that determined by the child's schedule or the parent's schedule? And I would have to say the parent's schedule, because at the end of the day, you have to go to work. Some of us work outside of the home, some of us work in the home. So if you're trying to do things um, outside of the homeschool is only going to take a few hours out of your day. So the routine comes from you. So you need to practice waking up at a certain time. And I always encourage all my parents to get everything ready as much as you can the evening before. This means picking out the clothes for the next day, depending on the ages of the children. You want to make sure you have their diaper bag ready, their car seats ready. Everything is done the night before. So this way, when it comes to the morning of, you are just getting up, getting dressed, and then doing the simpler things. Um, and if you have one of those days where your toddler is not having it and they're just fighting, well, then that's up to you as your discretion. Say, okay, is this battle worth it? Is this battle worth for me to just make my point of them getting dressed? Because there are two and they are trying to learn. So if you talk it over and you say, okay, you know what? Maybe we could eat and brush our teeth, and then when it's school time, we put on our clothes and see if you could compromise. So with the toddler age, it's always about compromising and communicating. So
Thank
I hope
you.
that
Okay.
answered your question.
Compromising. Yep, the golden answer was compromise. So, okay. Thank
Compromise, yes.
you.
So all right. So then the next one, the next slide, we're going to be talking about creating the home environment. So when you're creating the home environment, this could start again at 0 months, because you are just practicing everything until the child's ready, whether you're starting when your child is 6 months or you're starting when they're 5 years old. You want to look at your house and do remember, because you're at home, use up every aspect of your house. So your indoor, outdoor, every room in your house should be a learning environment, and you want to treat it as such. So when you are navigating and looking around, whether it's bedrooms, living room, kitchen, the bathroom, pantry, even to break it down to when you open up your pantry and closet, every aspect of the house is a learning environment. And the reason I say that it's a learning environment, because this is where they're going to be spending majority of their time. And when you start them young, when you start them, for example, opening up the pantry, that's going to lead to being curious about cooking. Oh, what's in the pantry? And so you're going to be balancing academics as well as um, the home economics part of your learning environment. So that's why I said every room in the house is very important to be a part of your learning environment. So if you have a front yard, a backyard, you want to incorporate all of that. So anywhere you go, if you go in the car, that's a learning environment. So you need to think in that mode. Everywhere you go, everything you do is about learning. So this way you're gonna give your child more than what they would have gotten if they were dropped off at a school, at a public school. So with that, that leads us to deciding on what one area in your house can you conduct the actual classroom. And the most popular areas in your house are the most common ones. So it's usually could be either the living room or dining room, where you have seatings, and you could actually have shelving, things where it could be a shared environment. So you could have couches, you could have a formal living room, but along with that, you could also incorporate your children's material so that they are able to get to them. Because what a lot of parents tend to do is store away the materials, which I I strongly encourage for the materials to be out and about. And this way the child could get to them, pull them out, learn how to clean them, and take care of their environment. So you will need to decide what area do you want that to be. The areas I tend to stay away from are, as far as conducting the classroom, are the bedrooms. The bedrooms, of course, bathrooms or any non-conventional rooms like that, we want to stay away from. Um, the areas which we talked about is that are perfect or tend to be the kitchen, between the kitchen and the living room. So with that, is there any questions with this section here from anyone? And if we don't have any questions, we'll go forward. So the next area, or the next part of our evening, we're going to be talking about also activities for your home. When it comes to activities, choosing what to apply for the child to study, this is now, we're talking about between 2 and 5 or 6 years old. You could tell that they're interested in certain things. So for example, if the child is interested in cars, that could be a theme. And what do I mean by that? When I say a theme is something that you start with and you could just take it further. So now if it's the cars, for example, because this is what they're excited about, and this is a stage that the child is talking about. So now we're going to talk about cars when we're driving around town. We're going to talk about cars of different colors. What's their favorite car? How many wheels do they have? So you take that activity of cars and apply all the early development themes or educational materials to that particular activity. So when, like I said, if it's cars, if it's dinosaurs, so now we could get books, we could get materials, and this way, when they talk about cars, by the time you are done talking about cars, they will know names of cars, colors, how they come, how they look. You break that particular activity down. So some of the activities that goes with the homeschool program that are kind of general. Let's say you say, well, my child they didn't indicate anything that they're into right now. So what do I do? And that will be a lot of this age, like music and movement, which is, of course, dancing, putting on their favorite song, or you playing your playlist. Even to start the day, if you notice that your toddler or your child have a hard time getting out of bed, to just put on the music and have them start the day with something happy. Think about how you feel when you put on a good song to get your day going. This will also be the same for your child. So starting off with the day and starting off with something that they like, that gets your mood and it sets the pace in the house. Okay, we start with this, and then through that, we are listening to the music. So it's more of a playful things, especially for this age. You don't want to be so militant and so strict. It needs to be fun. You should loosen up. Just let the environment be a playful environment, because that's how children learn best. So, and then we have language arts. That will be reading, writing, and speaking to your child. So we want to incorporate a lot of books. Again, some of those books could be chosen just because of the stage you're going into. If you want them to learn potty training, you want to go and research some books about potty training. So this way, that becomes a part of what you do and how you conduct that certain activity. So you're going to get the book about potty training. Now, you could read that book anytime. And I noticed between the ages of 2 and 3, because that is the stage where they are going through the motions of potty training, they actually, those books become their favorites. A lot of children just find it silly to pass gas, or the whole act of it. So you get books that are silly and let them get it out. Let them get it out and give you dialogue of how they thinking about going potty. And before you know it, the stage is completely gone and it's no longer a silly thing. They moved on to something. So it's the way you react to your children when they are in a particular stage. So do we have any questions in this section so far? And if so, you could either leave it in the chat or you could unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question. All right. So the next, let's see, let's move this over. So the next stage that we have is the guidelines, guiding your child and the discipline. As you all could see, a lot of parents or a lot of adults that I have worked with, can you raise your child without timeout? And that is a question that I get all the time. Miss Juba, Aunt Juba does not do timeout. And I do not use the word no. And the reason why I don't use these particular two things when it comes to discipline is the reason why it's timeouts. When you think about it, does it really work? And if you're using timeout, you ask yourself, who's benefiting from this action? Is it you, the parent? Is it the child? Or neither one? Because timeout, when you ask yourself that question, it's just you guys are separating and you're getting away from each other. But it never really solved the problem. So that's why you always have to keep repeating, okay, go on a timeout, go on a timeout, go on a timeout. But the reason why I got away from that is because after I asked myself those questions, the answer was like, you know what? We could try to have this another way, to solve the problem another way. So if you will, the takeout from here is pretty much redirecting the behavior. And how does that look when you are guiding your child through the disciplinary stage? So for example, if your child you're in the kitchen and your child wants to come and touch the stove, you caught him there. Of course, your first reaction is going to say, and oh, don't do that. Don't touch the stove. That's going to burn you. But the whole reason why we want to calm down, first of all, even though it's dangerous, that way you could gather and control the situation as the adult, as the parent. So the way I would approach that is I will pick the child up, depending on the age that they are. If they are like older, where they're 4 or 5, maybe just not old, they're too old to pick up at that time. I'll get down on their level and I would say, you know what, that is not a good idea and that is not okay for you to touch the stove. And then I'll go into the reason why I don't want them to touch a stove. So I didn't go there and I didn't go and say, and oh, you can't do it. Like now let's say we have explained the situation and I told them, don't do it. Now they go again and they actually repeat that action. So in a lot of cases, a lot of parents want to do a timeout. And the way I would do in this situation is, okay, if we already talked about it and I explained to you the reason why I don't want you to do it and you do it, what always worked for me as a parent, as a teacher in the classroom or at home when I was doing homeschool is to now tell the child, okay, guess what? Since you are not able to control yourself when you have the freedom, now you're going to have to come and sit right next to me and do what I do. So basically, be my shadow. 9 times out of 10, the child doesn't want to do that. So we get out of doing the behavior that we don't want to by them coming to me and coming around me, and now they do everything with me being right there, and the child actually don't have the freedom to wander around like they normally would. So that's one way to handle this situation when it comes to timeouts and saying the word no. So does anybody have any questions in this section?
I do.
Okay.
So if you don't use the word no and then you have the child, what about tantrums? That's my question. Like, yes,
Okay.
you can redirect them, but real example, I had to turn off my camera just now and mute myself because my child was rolling on the floor, doing flips, screaming because I told her that she could not watch TV. So
Right.
like, I explained why and in the most calming voice ever, but there still was like 30 minutes of tantrum. So if the redirection is not working when we're homeschooling, like even earlier when we were going through our note cards, the redirection just wasn't registering with my baby, and it was followed by tantrums. So how do we navigate through a tantrum if the baby doesn't want to come be your shadow and stand next to you and like it's screaming louder than your voice? Do you just let them scream, or like at what point do you be like, stop? Like, no.
So I guess let me back up a little bit. So we want to do this, we want to do all of this before it even gets there. So now, in a perfect world, of course, you would talk to them and then you wouldn't have this happening. So, to answer your question, in order to avoid all of this leading up to that behavior that you don't want, you have to explain in the beginning. So it's always with this age, you have to prepare them. So if for example, you were just saying your child just had a meltdown right now. So before you got busy, before you got on the call, what should have taken place should have been, mommy is going to go work and mommy needs to have, when the doors close, that means mommy is working. So when I'm done working, I want you to do XYZ. And when you see the door opens, that means mommy's done. So the whole thing is to prepare the child so that they know. What we tend to do is just go and do it because we're so used to the way adults function. And this is how you avoid any kind of mishaps when it comes to young children. So whether they're 6 months, same thing. So if you're 6 months and you're getting ready to take a trip, you're going to go fly, the best thing to do is, so that you avoid any kind of meltdowns, is you want to make sure they're fed, you want to make sure they changed, you need to do certain steps to prevent the action before it does happen. Now let's say you took all those steps and it still happens. Now, whenever, if you have to stop in the middle, you're going to explain to them, okay, I will talk to you when I am done, because this is important. It's still got to have dialogue. So the dialogue, the um, pre getting ready, the child getting them ready, all of that helps. And it's not a thing that happens overnight, but as you practice it, it will eventually definitely take over, and it will show.
So just basically doing all the things prior to
Yes.
what I have to do, and then explaining, like talking to my baby as a young adult, like explaining
Yes,
mommy has a priority. Okay.
And
absolutely.
Bella, I'm about to whoop your ass. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?
Can
Miss
everybody
Kim,
make sure you're muted?
Miss Kim, there you're having some. I heard a little bit of that conversation. So, like Miss Kim, it seems like, and that's natural. I mean, of course, even for parents, it doesn't happen overnight. Um, but if you think about it, um, so I thought you were saying something, Miss Kim. So for when you think about it, like in my culture, I'll give you an example. In my culture, a lot of us either got the look, right? It's sometimes a parent could say or do something, not even say verbal cues. It's the look that the child knows that, okay, you know what, mommy means business, right? But I got away from that in practicing the look with my children. I do have the looks now. I do have the look. I'm not going to say that I don't have the look because they're older. But when they were younger, um, I'm not sure, Zainab, you got a chance to see me when we were together when I was with Phoenix. I kept it very, very simple, very calm, because a child bounces off of your energy. So when they're below 5, I'm telling you, you could say something, you could say it in a way where you are screaming, they're going to react to that. So even if it's a dire situation, the whole thing is to keep it calm. You need to stay calm, because
Right.
when your child, there was an example where your Phoenix was like screaming, and she was just not having a good time that day. But it's so funny, if you try this and you say, you start talking low and you start whispering, all the screaming will stop. It will be like, what are you saying? Because you're whispering. So now they're trying to see what you, so it's almost, of course, that's something that I learned in psychology, is when somebody's screaming around you, even an adult, and you start talking in a low, quiet, mellowed out voice, the adult would stop. They would stop screaming. So it's always best to keep yourself in check when you are working with young children. So whether you're picking up, like, I see you're picking up baby 7 right now. When you pick her up, if you came in and you just have this energy of being anxious, it's going to bounce right on the baby. And you're going to see it's going to take a while for her to calm down to you, because that's all she's reading is the energy. She can't tell you otherwise. So then it's harder for you to calm her down until you actually calm down yourself. So does that make sense? So the
Yeah.
meltdowns could be prevented by you, the adult, setting a good example to your child. And if you need to have a moment, then by all means, then you could tell your child, you know what, mommy has to go to the restroom. Maybe you do need some breath work. It's fine. It's okay. We all had to do that at one point or another. And then you come back into the situation ready to handle the situation.
That makes sense. Thank you. There
Yes.
are some questions in the chat. Someone asked, how do you discipline a child with special needs such as Down syndrome? And then there was another question, how do you talk to a 1-year-old and explain still too to a 1-year-old?
Okay, so there were two questions. So the Down syndrome, I've only did my clinical hours with special needs children. I didn't work with them on a regular basis. So when I was with the special needs children, they always had their therapist or um, their assistance that they needed. They always had them around whenever I was present. So this way they could also assist in having the child disciplined or taken care of. So I I have, so that would be my answer to that. As far as the special needs child, because they have different criteria and they have different needs, it's always best to have the parent, the therapist, or whoever that you also need to help you um, get that situation taken care of. And then the second question was, what was the second question? I don't think I seen the comment.
The second question was, would you also talk to a 1-year-old and explain still too to a 1-year-old?
Yes, absolutely. And I will talk to the baby. Okay. So I want you guys to understand that a brand new baby that just came out of the womb, I would talk to them just like I'm talking to you right now. And the reason being is because this is how they learn how to actually develop their language. And so if I'm talking to a baby, a brand new baby, and I say, you know what? I wouldn't just go over there and just pick them up. I would say, may I pick you up? And I would ask for their permission. And because even a 1-year-old at that point, if you ask the 1-year-old, may I pick you up? And they don't want you to pick them up, they would definitely turn. They would do an action that lets you know that they don't want that. Now, with the brand new baby, as I'm talking to them, they might not do the action of turning, but I am practicing to get in the habit of respecting those boundaries. So the child gets to learn that, oh, you know what? I just don't get picked up just because I'm a baby. So I ask them, may I pick you up? And eventually, when they're about 5, 6 months, when they could actually reach out to you, they would already have heard this enough, and they would understand that, oh, when an adult is around and they want to hold me, if they don't ask me and I don't like for them to do it, they will give you the signal, a nonverbal cue. So to circle back to that question, yes, I would even talk to a brand new baby to show respect, to have boundaries, that I just don't come and just pick you up because you're a baby. No, I'm showing you that as your adult, as I'm here, I want to get your permission and let them know that, may I pick you up?
Thank you. Thank you for that. That was Deshaun, but I don't see any other questions in the chat. There's some comments though. Someone
Okay.
said you have to learn what triggers them to avoid triggers and establish consistent routine.
Absolutely.
Someone said, I noticed when I ask my child to give me a hug during his tantrum, it really helps. Body to body connection also helps me too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree. So as they get bigger, if you started the training from day one, it is easier as you move along and you are asking for respect and also receiving respect. So, and that leads us into our freedom, independent, and potty training. Not sure if who in our session tonight has the potty training stage. I noticed this stage is also very challenging to a lot of parents. And in in this stage, I wanted to do more of a question answer situation. So like, why is potty training challenging for some families, but not for others? So, and if you understand these points right here, why is it challenging, then you will know exactly how to um, maneuver around this particular subject of potty training. So I need you guys to understand that who is being potty trained, it's not the child. So the person being potty, the action is the child, yes, but who is being trained is actually the adult or the parent. And they are being trained, the adult is being trained in this way because now you are learning your child's cues, your child's behavior, because this is not something you normally would look for, especially if they were in diapers. So when you decide as an adult that we are ready to go into the next stage, then the training begins with the adult. So, and the way that would look is when you decide that, then you have to do certain things to help you, to assist you in the potty training behavior. So you got to ask yourself, am I starting too early? Am I um, am I ready to actually go through with this and be dedicated? Because it is a commitment. So you can't just say, oh, okay, the 7 days I'm going to be completely on point and I'm going to be in tune. But then you start to travel the following week, because then that's going to be all thrown off. So you need to pick a time where you know you're going to be home, or you know you're not going to be doing any major traveling. You could always go to errands, running back and forth to stores. Those are all things that you do normally. But when it comes to this particular action of potty training, you want to make sure the routine is consistent enough so that you can get through with it. Now, from personal experience, I always say the best age to do potty training is, the key factors here are, is your child actually mobile? Meaning, if they're crawling, they're actually mobile, so they could crawl to the potty. Even though they're not speaking to you, they could crawl to it and indicate that they want to use it, whether it's a false alarm, whether it is really they want to use it, they could crawl to it. And the perfect ages are to start the process. I started the process at 10 months, 10 months old. The child is not speaking, but the child is mobile, and they understand verbal and body cues from me, and we could communicate in that way. So by the time they were between 12 and 13 months, we were done by the time they were 15 months. Why? Because we gave it time to have incidents, accidents, and everything like that. And how do you train a 10-month-old? You need tools like reminders. You need to have things to remind yourself. And at that age, when they're actually crawling around, you will notice your child wants to hide. One of the biggest things that they do, they go and hide when they're ready to go do a bowel movement. So the minute they start doing those actions, you definitely want to say, oh, is it time to go potty? And then you say, oh, okay, well, let's try. And if a child starts to fight you and say, you know, maybe even start then throwing a temper tantrum, don't force the issue. You just say, whenever, then we have dialogue while they're doing it. So then you say, okay, next time when your body is ready to go and you feel it, even though they're not going to respond to you with verbal cues, you're just explaining the process. And then as time goes, they will let you know that they have to go potty because of the dialogue that you have incorporated with the action that is going on with your child. So do we have any questions in this section? And let's see. So yeah, so basically, if we don't have any questions, I wanted to say thank you very much for joining in this evening. And I wanted to circle back onto the fun little icebreaker that we had. And the reason why I actually had chosen to ask everybody what their favorite color and what did they do when they grew up. Let me see if I could see the comments. So I would like to pick a name and let me see. I wanted to pick, I think I'll pick Ava. Ava, can you hear me okay, first of all? Well, let's see. If you could you
She said
please
yes, she can
unmute?
hear you. She can hear.
She can hear me.
Mhm.
Okay. So Ava, let's see, I think everybody answered. Could you, I'm trying to see. Could you please tell us what is Zainab's favorite color? And what did Zainab want to be when they grew up? That should be an easy one. I did an easy one first. I can't see the responses. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Let me stop sharing. Let's see if did Ava answer yet. If could you and Ava, could you unmute yourself? You could just reply so that we could all hear you.
She said, what was the question?
The question was, in the beginning, we had an icebreaker, which was to all write down what was your favorite color and what did you want to be when you grew up. So I wanted to ask you, few people randomly, what was for you, Ava, what was Zainab's favorite color and what did she want to be when she grew up? And of course, no peeking at the chat. I'm going to give you a 3-second countdown. 3,
She said
2,
she didn't notice. She didn't read the comments.
she did not read the comment.
If I'm able to help her, I remembered and I just don't know why. Maybe because we are both moms and I just knew she's a mom, but I'm feeding my baby and I just remembered because I seen it.
Okay, and
that was
let me
so
see
cool.
who's speaking. I
This
don't
is
know.
Keisha.
Keisha. Keisha, if you remembered, so what was Zainab's favorite color and what did she want to be when she grew up?
I know for sure she said astronaut. And I thought that was like, wow. And I believe she said yellow.
Zainab, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And all right, that was good. So the whole reason why I asked, I should ask two more people just so that we could see the point here. How about Kim? is Kim. Can you hear us okay? If you could unmute yourself.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so for Kim, can you answer those questions for Sierra?
I'll be honest, I wasn't looking at the chat either. I saw a few things as I was putting them in there. I saw somebody said their favorite color was green and they wanted to be a midwife.
And midwife, and do you remember who it was?
I didn't look at the name.
Okay, all right, not a problem. What about, let me see, okay, I'll do one more. How about Tanisha to TCM? So Tanisha, if you could answer those questions. Tanisha, can you hear us? Maybe Tanisha's not able to. Okay. Hello? Okay, I thought she did. So the reason why I had asked those questions in the beginning is to help you guys understand paying attention to details in your day-to-day. So when you wake up as a trained teacher, as a trained educator, moms usually have this natural way of noticing things right away. But while you're teaching, while you're going on to conduct the homeschool process, paying attention to detail is going to help you navigate your day to have it so smoothly. So, in other words, when you get up and it's a perfect Wednesday, the sun is out, you need to take a quick assessment of yourself first. How do you feel? How do you, are you ready to have your routine for the day? And sometimes the answer is no. No, I am not ready. And if the answer is no, then what is the plan B to that? Sometimes you might be ready, but then maybe your child is not ready. Same thing. You went to bed, everything was fine. When you wake up, your child is throwing off a vibe that is, ooh, today might not be the day for structural or routine or anything like that. So take advantage of that as opposed to if you had to go to school and here it is, it's Wednesday, the child is not feeling good, you woke up with a headache, you still got to go and take the child to school, knowing as a parent that they were off. So the reason why we were playing that game is so that you could take and pay close attention to details as you move through your homeschool experience. So I hope you guys like that little game, but that is what I want you guys to take away from this whole orientation tonight is paying attention. So start practicing when somebody tells you their name and right away associate their name with something that comes to mind. So that's how teachers are able to remember students' name within a week, whether they have 30 students, whether they have 5. So that's what I would like for you guys to take away this evening.
Thank you. And can you tell us about the 5-day intensive workshop that also leads into the self-paced homeschooling?
Absolutely.
Specifically the homeschooling, the intensive 5-day for us, and then the self-paced material.
Yes. So we do have a 5-day coming up on the 13th of this month. It's going to be in about a week. And that's going to be an intensive workshop going through. I was trying to pull it and share it with you guys. Let me see if I could find it. Give me 1 second. let's see. Let's see if I could pull it. Okay, I couldn't share with you guys, but we do have a 5-day intensive workshop that is going to dive deeper into some of the topics that we talked about this evening. So if you would like to purchase the homeschool program and you still have questions, please go and check out the website, and it has been posted in the chat there. So go and check that out. And we also do have a community. So if you are not able to join us on the workshop from the 13th of May to the 17th, it's going to be an hour and a half in the evening, diving deeper and dissecting some of the subjects that we talked about this evening. So if you're not able to do that, we also have a community where you could ask on Juba, and that's happening every other Saturday. So that will be on the 11th. And it's every second and fourth Saturdays where we meet up and ask questions about school, homeschooling, about doula, a postpartum doula, mommy care, parental care, and you guys we could all join in and just have the community coming up.
And I want to add this. I want to first say thank you for this orientation, and thank you just for all the gems that you dropped. But I want to say that, you know, I'm not a first-time mom. Like I have a second child, but the approach that you left me with and the curriculum, the homeschooling curriculum that you left me with, even the homeschool, even the do-it-yourself activities with the old toilet rolls, and like just really guiding me through the steps of homeschooling my child, and especially like even going to the grocery store and incorporating like, you know, just day-to-day activities into our homeschooling. I really appreciate that. So anybody on here that's like me, brand new to homeschooling, but it's not your first child, the curriculum is phenomenal. And it's like things that me personally, I wouldn't have thought of, like not throwing away the toilet paper rolls, but instead using them to make caterpillars and like,
Absolutely.
you know, using everything in the house. So the curriculum dives into that, and the intensive workshop, which I'm going to be there as well. I'm excited because I get to have 5 days with you and I get to ask questions and learn more. But I'm excited because the 5-day workshop, well, for everyone on here, the 5-day workshop includes the self-paced guided material. So you essentially just get access to your very own homeschooling curriculum. And it's amazing. It's amazing, y'all. So definitely check out that. And I hope to see everybody in the 5-day workshop and the
Thank
community,
you.
because we need each other. So I want to say thank you, Aunt Juba, for
Thank you guys for joining me tonight. And definitely, if you guys are interested in any of that, go check out the website, and we hope to see you there if nobody else has any more questions this evening. And you guys have a good rest of the week.
Emmy had a question.
Oh, there is a question there. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Could you? Yes, you could go. Let me see if I could unmute.
Hi.
Yes. Hi, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just a small question, if just about the potty training, because my son, he's almost 2, and so he can say like a few words. So I was just curious if you had like a key word that you know use for like all of your kids to like cue to let you know that they needed to go to the potty.
So it's not a cue word. It's actually the actions leading up to that. And Zainab is a perfect example for this, because when I actually went to work with Phoenix and Zainab, Phoenix was not quite 2 yet. So she was like about maybe 20 months. And the action there, we're going to dive into that a little bit more deeper in the workshop. But some of the actions that you would take is setting an alarm. So you give water, because it's actually harder to articulate number 1 as opposed to number 2. So everything is going to be number 2 when the child tells you. So what you do is actually talk to them first. Okay, you're getting to be a big boy or big girl, and you're gonna start wearing underwears. So it's gonna be a process that shows them that, oh, the diapers are there, but they're gonna be for the nighttime wear only. So, and if you have, I always recommend, if you are at home, definitely don't worry about having any bottoms on them. Let them hang out in a large shirt, or let them just have on, just be in their birthday suit because you're at home. Let them have that freedom. So this way they could actually see the action, and have them help you clean it up when they actually, when an accident does happen. We talk about it. Oh, you know what? Your body was ready to go, but you were not ready. So when next time when it happens, we're gonna go and try to do it on a potty. While we are waiting, then you see how long did it take for that action to happen. So you put on a timer. Maybe let's start 15 minutes. And then when the timer goes off, you explain to them the timer will go off, and then we'll try the potty action.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, but we could dive into more into it in the workshop.
Okay, thank you. Awesome.
Yes, and I do see there is somebody here with their hands up. Could you unmute yourself? We will take this last question here, and then we will let everyone go. It's all it says is a Samsung
That was
user.
your husband.
Oh, that is you. Okay, go ahead. You have a question?
No, I just wanted to let you know that Amy had a question.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. So yes, so we do hope to see you guys in the workshop, and thank you so much for joining us this evening, and you guys all have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Anjuba. Bye,
All
everybody.
right.
Amy, I just
Bye,
want you to know
everyone.
it really works. That timer is a game changer, okay? 5 days with Phoenix. It works, Amy. So I'll see you in
It
the
is
workshop.
5 days flat. It will be done. It will
All
be
right.
done.
Good
All
night.
right. Good night, everyone.